And so when I met Madonna, it was pretty much right after that. And so she knew that was the same girl that was in her video.
This episode is brought to you by PortfolioBox, an online portfolio made by creatives for creatives.
With hundreds of costume and image changes, Madonna has to be the hardest star to impersonate.
It's been my full-time job for 16 years. I've known 50 other Madonna lookalikes that have come and gone, and they've all been great, but nobody yet has made a career like I have. And I think that takes a sense of integrity and a good work ethic.
Hey everyone, hope you guys are having an amazing week, as this week we're touching base with Denise Bella Vlasis, as she was Madonna's Hollywood double for 25 years. Performing as her lookalike, stand-in, and voiceover work, she's gonna share some of her crazy and incredible memories along the way. Plus, we're talking her production company and how has it been affected this past year. And what's next for Bella? That and much more. Stay locked in. All right, guys. Well, welcome back to another episode of the Hardwood podcast. I'm excited for my guest today. I've known her for a couple of years, and she has been working as a Madonna double impersonator, and she's been in the business for several years, and now she's transitioned into now helping others. Today, I'm joined by Denise Bella Vlasis, and Bella, welcome to the podcast. And I want to just say thank you for coming on, and for the audience, that might not know exactly who you are and the journey that you took, I just want to give you the stage and just let the audience know what have you been doing lately and the journey you took.
Thank you. It's so good to be here. It's so good to hear your voice. I go by Bella. My name is Denise Bella Vlasis. I have been Madonna's Hollywood double since 1985. In that journey and through those travels of working as Madonna's double, it just opened a lot of doors that I could have never foreseen opening along the way. Basically, as a performer and a dancer, it was just looking for work. And I kind of kept falling into these roles of a Madonna type or a Madonna impersonator. Mm-hmm. And then while I was working doing that, I just ended up meeting lots of directors and lots of different agents and got to do movies and feature films and print jobs and stand-in work and voiceover work and kids parties and just every kind of thing you can do as an impersonator. And along the way, and all these years later, I've always had people come up to me and say, wow, how did you get into this? Is there any way I can do this? Do I look like anybody? And it kind of started out as a fun thing, and then it really turned into a whole different entrepreneuring idea, I guess, in that I've literally helped so many people in my life become a lookalike or actually get work as a lookalike from my friends that have been in feature films and national commercials and national print jobs. So basically all my performer friends or my out of work friends come up and say, make me over, Bella, make me look like somebody famous. And so that kind of turned into its own thing. And so I do that on the side as well, which is the LookAlikeLady. And that's pretty much just helping people break into the industry. And I've actually written 2 how-to books of trying to teach people step by step how to get into this industry. It's kind of a fun and untapped industry for anybody that's either a musician or a singer or a model or a dancer. It provides so many opportunities to work.
No, yeah, definitely. And, that is a niche that you've kind of covered. I mean, you've pretty much taken over that particular niche, right? And, you've, like you said, you've done 2 books, right? And mm-hmm. What do you get into, the specifics, right? You have this long experience, right? So,
mm-hmm.
You have lots to cover, right? So give us some, some of the stuff that's in your book, both of your books, and what are the most important things that people don't probably know about, being a lookalike?
Yeah, both of my books cover kind of A to Z. They definitely need to be updated because it's been a little while, mm-hmm. but because now we've got social media and stuff, yeah. But it's pretty much A to Z. I wrote these books like in the mindset that from day one, what would somebody need to know? And pretty much what's your first step? And that's, and then basically I cover everything from contacting agencies to getting your makeup done. How do you get your voice to sound a certain way? How do you shade your makeup a certain way? How do I find wigs? What are costume resources? What happens on jobs when something like this happens? And I put a lot of little pieces of advice. And I also have a lot of advice from working impersonators, like what do you do when this happens? Or, how do you handle when a customer does this? Or how do I write a contract to book the job? And how do I find the customers? How do I find the agencies? I tried to cover all of it. And my guinea pig, when I wrote the book, I gave it to a person that was just starting out. And I said, let me know if you still have questions, because that will let me know if I've covered everything. So, and this guy's working, he's one of the industry greats now. So I know the advice works at least.
No, yeah. And what's some of the, I'm pretty sure, right? There's a bunch of people that sometimes where it can get kind of intimidating, right? There could be some, for example, you see a lookalike Brad Pitt, and these fans, right, kind of may be like, okay, I can't get the actual Brad Pitt, but this is the closest things to it, and they could probably get a little too close, or something happens. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure that's happened in your case. How do you handle those situations, right? And do you still have to, for yourself?
Yeah, it's interesting because as Madonna, I can kind of get away with being a little bit brassy if somebody gets too bold. But I've been at gigs with like Marilyn Monroe lookalikes where the guests were kind of rowdy and grabby and touchy. And I literally saw, that actor in tears because she didn't know how to handle, a more aggressive crowd. And believe me, like working in this industry, you will see and hear just about everything.
Yeah.
For myself, luckily I'm Madonna, so I can say, hey, back up, dude, or whatever. Yeah. I can, I can be a little more aggressive with it, but I think, the best thing to do is remove yourself from a situation. If it's gone too far, as an agent, I have in my contracts, if it gets like that, my performer leaves, and nobody should be subjected to be in that kind of hostile situation. And on the flip side of that, sometimes people are just excited and they're going to get in line and get a picture with you and they're super excited. And I think you just kind of learn to deal with human behavior as you go along in this work. Can you imagine what the real Brad Pitt deals with? It's like, except, he has bodyguards, but, if you're working as a lookalike and it's getting too rowdy, then you have the right to leave the situation and, talk to the agent that booked you and say, this is too much. You should be protected regardless. And I've seen everything. I've actually had to have, security jump in, and I've seen other lookalikes that have to have that. But for the most part, it's fun. Most people are like, yay, I've never met Madonna. Yay, I have a funny story I want to tell you. And it's all good that way.
Wow. And on one of the interviews that you've done, I've noticed that the mindset, right? The mindset that you have to put yourself into sometimes. And you come on record saying that when you get into that mindset, now I'm talking, when you become Madonna, you get a courage, you get a confidence that maybe you didn't have, but you gain it just by, performing or just impersonating her. Talk to us about, having the courage and confidence when you become Madonna.
Yeah, it's interesting what transforms inside of me, because studying her, that's part of Madonna's appeal, is that she's so comfortable in her own skin, and she's so self-aware and she's so good with herself. And it's such a good thing for all of us to remember. And when I first started one of my first jobs, they said, okay, we're going to book you as Madonna. You just go ahead and bust into this party and be her.
Yeah.
And I was a little, not that I was shy, but I was like, what? Like,
Yeah, it's like, okay, it's not like a switch, you know?
right. You just like walk into the party. And so I'm like, what, as an actor, what do I do with myself to make it feel like Madonna just jumped into this party, and people need to resonate with me that, whoa, it feels like somebody famous is here. Who is that? And so I just kind of thought about it for a while and said, how can I make myself larger than life without being a clown or without being too over the top?
Mm.
And so I just felt like just bringing my own essence and my own energy bigger, brighter, thinking more like a star quality type of thought, so that people go, ooh, it feels like she's Madonna. And so I think, and with that, it's like you fake it till you make it. It's like I fake this confidence and this star quality that she has. And so it's a role that you play. So, for me, I'm like, okay, I've got to get into that head space of like the queen is here. And, cause she's got that just queen vibe about her. So, I just do that. And it portrays typically as a confident Madonna person.
And was there a moment of doubt, during this process? Like, it's been a number of years, but was there a moment where like, I got to give it up, like maybe I can't do this?
Do you know, it's weird. The doors never stopped opening. And it's, I look back at some of the interviews I did years ago and I'm like, oh, how funny. I'm talking about being a drummer because I play drums.
Okay.
I'm like, yeah, I just want to focus on my drumming career. And then some other incredible opportunity presents itself. And I'm like, how can I turn this down? Like the Madonna opportunities never stopped. And that's how I knew I was on the right path, because it wasn't something that I fought or forced or tried to make happen. It just always happened. And so I'm like, well, I guess it's meant to be. Mm-hmm. Even after having a baby and becoming an agent and slowing down a bit, I'm like, but these doors keep opening and these TV shows keep calling and these opportunities keep popping up. So you know what? As long as that happens, I'll open the door. I don't want it to be something I ever have to force myself to do.
Yeah.
But it just always, and still happening that these cool little things just keep coming up in my life. And I'm like, okay, I just go with the flow with wherever the energy is flowing, that's where I'll go.
Yeah. I think that's kind of like one of the, like, make things happen naturally, right? Because once you force yourselves to do something, it's not, you're not happy with the results. You're not happy with yourself, and I feel like you're letting just letting it flow, and things people are requesting, and it's worked out for the best. And I wanted to ask you, has Madonna ever reached out to you and like good job or thank you or anything like that?
In a lot of different ways, yes. I actually met her in, I think, 86. And I knew her choreographer at the time, Jeffrey Hornaday. So he came in and said, I want you to meet Madonna. Maybe she can use you for a stand-in or something. And so I met her at that audition. And so they said, we want you to dance for Madonna. And I had to just get up and freestyle for Madonna. And, so I met her face to face there. I gave her my promotional materials and resume, and I met her then, and she shook my hand. Cool. And that was actually right after, I don't know if I told you the story yet, but MTV had a big contest on MTV. It was Madonna's Make My Video contest. And so Madonna had this big contest on MTV, and this was kind of my breakthrough moment as Madonna. There was like 2,000 people submitted. It was like anybody could make a video to Madonna's song True Blue. Mm-hmm. So just crazy things lined up like they always do with my life. And this director called me and says, do you want to make this video? And I'm like, let's do it. We had 24 hours. We sat up and edited it all night long, and we got it to MTV. And so long story short, out of 2,000 videos, they narrowed it down, and Madonna picked her top 10 favorite. And I was in that. Wow. And so, yeah, and I was the only person impersonating Madonna in any of these videos. So to me, I was like, I think that's kind of the best acknowledgement I could get from her. Yeah. Because, she's like, yep, because I'm just full on impersonating her in the video. So we ended up getting first runner up because you had to call in and vote, blah, blah. And so when I met Madonna, it was pretty much right after that. And so she knew that was the same girl that was in her video, contest. And so I met her then. And then years later, I ended up working with her on a commercial for MTV. And we signed a big 20-page contract saying that we wouldn't talk to her or go near her. But she walked past me and she goes, "Looks good, looks real good." I guess that's about it as far as the acknowledgement. But, over the years, they've had to get her okay for certain projects that I've done.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I've always had the green light. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's good, right? I mean, you don't want to, step on anybody's toes, and somebody, they might, another person might be like, okay, I don't like that, or they say stop it, right? Stop everything you're doing. Yep. But it seems like she's okay with it, so that's good.
Yeah, in the early days, I'd gotten a letter from her attorney saying, because I was visiting hospitals and I was doing all this good charity work as her, and they were like, "Hey, who's this girl? She's getting way too much media attention." And so anyway, my dad got me an attorney, and they said, we said, "We're not saying we're Madonna. We're just saying, we represent Madonna in a different way, and she's just doing good things." So I haven't gotten any negative experiences as far as that. And like I said, there were so many projects where they had to get her okay, and so I'm grateful. And to be doing this 28 years later is just such a blessing.
Yeah, and then I go back to you said it once. There's always a clone of you somewhere in the world, and it's funny because I did a short film, and it's based a little bit off that, where you're always gonna be there's a clone out there of you somewhere, but you always got to be the best version of yourself. But it's kind of like it kind of just reminded me of that a little bit. But what do you think about the concept of when you have somebody, right? So in your case, you have, you've been doing a lookalike, and now you have all these other people that are trying to do the same thing. What's something that you always tell them, right? Where like, okay, you're playing A, B, C. Mm-hmm. One of the words of wisdom you always tell some of your clients, like, always do blank.
Always represent the celebrity you impersonate with the utmost respect and goodness. Like, in all my years, I mean, that's probably why I keep working, because I will only portray Madonna in a positive light. Mm-hmm. I've been offered so many crazy jobs that I turned down because I'm like, I'm using her image to work. So first thing I say is never be insulting to the character. Only do something that you think your character would do, and then do it better and do it with total respect.
Wow.
I think super important.
That's always key, right? You don't want to do anything that's, over the top and just like it's going to come back to, bite you later.
Exactly. There have been other lookalikes that have gotten sued by their celebrity. Yeah. Doing some shady things, like getting into basketball games or, things like that. Yeah, because there's so many perks, and especially if you really, really look like somebody, there's lots of perks. But, I say in my books, don't fool anyone. Just, save it for the stage. And, that's, you just won't get in trouble.
Yeah. So now, right? So Tribute Productions, right? You have all these things going on, right? You have, Bella's Dolls, and, all these several different brands. How does Bella balance every single, aspect of, your empire? Because that's one of the questions. That's the $1 million question, right? Especially nowadays, where there's so many opportunities and so many different like entities that one has to kind of manipulate. Like social media, right? You have all these different things. How do you balance everything?
Ooh, good thing I'm a multitasker, I guess. I think when my heart is in something, I know you're the same way. When your heart is in something, you've got the energy to do it. For myself, working as Madonna brought me to so many places and gave me so many skills that I didn't know I could have. And one of them is being a booking agent, but also producing things, producing shows, and all the way to creating costumes, which I didn't know I could do. Tribute productions is a labor of love because it's everything that I love while I'm getting my friends' work. Most of the people that work for me are dear friends. Mm-hmm. So great, talented actors and singers and dancers. So I get to keep them working and create and be creative. And Mrs. Bella's Dolls is really just it comes from my love of 1940s and pinup. And those are all like brand ambassador cigarette girls. And we have giant champagne glasses. And it's kind of more of the glamorous side of my personality. I love to just create these beautiful events with these gorgeous girls that I have, and then create their costumes. I think sometimes it gets overwhelming because there's so much to handle, especially social media. But because of my love for each and everything that I do, I find the time to I find the energy within myself to keep each thing alive.
Okay.
It's a lot more.
Yeah. I mean, that's something where sometimes I find myself kind of like, you want to do so many things, but you're only one person. But I'm sure you have plenty of help, and I feel like the term labor of love. I love that, because that's what it is. When you love something, it's not. Is it work, right? Like if you love something so much, is it really work, right? And
exactly.
That's something that if you love something so much, that's something where I feel like you're lucky, right? You're not a lot of people get to do what they love. And, when you're in that position, I feel like take advantage of it, because,
exactly.
you could be doing something else that you hate, and that's something you don't want to do, right?
I would probably never, which is, people say to me, you kind of defeat the odds, Bella, by making this Madonna thing your career. Like I've seen so many Madonnas come and go, or so many other lookalikes and impersonators come and go. And I think if you just put 100% of your energy into anything that you love, it's going to happen. The doors will open. Just hang on and stay on your path, and the doors will eventually open. Just stay on. That's really what it's about.
Critics are always going to be out there. And, I'm pretty sure you had those kind of, how can this be a career? Or, what's this? And look at you now, right? So, I feel like, if you, like you said, right, you've conquered the mountain, that if you, like they said.
Yeah, because the haters are always going to hate, but when you're on your path and you're staying on it because you love it, nobody can take anything away from you. I've got like just endless amounts of experience and opportunities, and those are mine forever to keep. And with whatever you do in life, don't listen to people, really. Just don't listen, and just stay in your own heart, stay in your own drive, and stay with that. Because once you start listening to what the critics are saying, I've heard every kind of hateful thing you could possibly hear. And, imagine what Madonna hears. But just tune it out and stay on your path.
Hey, are you a photographer, designer, artist, architect, model, musician, or even a makeup artist? You gotta check out PortfolioBox. With PortfolioBox, you're not forced to use any standard theme. You can use any style for any page and create a truly unique website that reflects you and your work. If you're a creative, it's a no-brainer. Get 50% off for 12 months on all plans with promo code ROD50. That's promo code ROD50. And check out PortfolioBox.net today. Speaking of obstacles, we had a huge obstacle this past year, and how did that affect the business? As far as because it's event driven, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd like, okay, we do events, parties, red carpets. That's always going to be weddings, all kinds of fun entertainment. Not ever expecting a pandemic to hit. Our work pretty much closed down completely. So we've just been trying to be creative behind the scenes and think of ways that we can keep our actors working and just stay creative. Really, it's pretty tragic, and it's very sad what's happening. We've kind of managed to stay afloat with, luckily, virtual stuff, like a lot of online stuff. A lot of our lookalikes will do like online greetings, or we've got certain things that we can do, like our giant bubble, the girl that's inside the bubble. We do parties like that. TV casting stuff is still happening. Thank goodness. I just worked on a Super Bowl commercial.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Things like that are still moving, but I've kind of taken the time to go inward a little bit and just slow down, which is kind of nice. And, just kind of work on more mental and creative things, on the inside. And I actually just got a proposal from somebody overseas, which could also be a nice virtual opportunity for a lot of my performers. So there's always a way, but I also knew we're all kind of forced to slow down a little bit during all of this. And for myself, because I'd be hustling right now. I'm like, well, maybe it's just meant to be to slow down and regroup, reconnect, and just allow it to be what it is. And it'll come back. How can they take parties away from us, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of that's the whole thing, right? Events. And I feel like, like I've been saying, right, this past year, obviously it wasn't what we all expected, but it kind of pushed a lot of artists and creatives to, what are you gonna do about it, right? It's like a a slap in the face, and it pushed us creatives to innovate, right? To come up with new ideas, because right, because in the industry where we're in, right, it's hard to. It's nothing. It's something you can't hold in your hand and say, I'm gonna do this. It's something where you have to find within yourself, and ideas come and go. Talk to us a little bit about something that maybe you were like, okay, this is it, but I have to do something about it. What's something that came out of 2020, and it was kind of like a blessing in the sky?
I think just the ability to slow down. Definitely having more time with my family was such a gift.
Definitely.
I'm sad that I can't see my mom right now, but I would say the things that came out of it were more freedom for me to think in ways that I wouldn't have time to if I was so busy hustling bookings. My mind has kind of been allowed to slow down and think of new ideas.
Yeah, self-awareness.
Yeah, absolutely. Self-awareness. I get to train harder than I've ever been able to train for years, working out and just taking care of my health, mind, body, soul. And like I said, I've actually just written something for a book that's about to be published, and
nice.
I wouldn't have the time normally to allow my mind to just be quiet. And so I'm super grateful, that we've had this time to just slow down a little bit. And I think we all could use a little slowdown. I definitely want to work, but the slowdown has been a blessing.
No, that's 100%. I think we all need that. And, now that things are kind of getting a little bit, back to normal, if you will, what's Bella, what's in her plans for this year? What's Bella working on, or that's, that's something that's maybe, it's in the woods, but waiting to be released.
Yeah. Well, this opportunity just came up. It's for something overseas. I'll talk about it more once it's totally solidified, but it could be a really cool online adventure for my artist friends and performers, and of course the lookalikes. Once I sign that contract, which is like pending any day, I'll definitely update you. But I'm working on that right now. It's a little bit behind the scenes. And then just still creating for Tribute Productions, still creating innovative and new ideas. So when the time is ready, we're ready to go with like new costumes and new fun things for your parties.
What's the most requested impersonator you always get asked for? We got to have this guy. Who's the most popular?
Number one, I would say like movies, Leo DiCaprio,
Yeah.
believe it or not, because there's a guy that is really amazing. His name is Ben. People, a lot of times they want whoever is current, like whoever's hitting the headlines right now. That's who people typically want. So it's kind of
who's hitting the headlines right now?
kind of nobody right now, but like who right now? The typical people that you'd see at the Oscars, I guess, that, and then whoever's hot in the music industry. Those two categories.
Yeah, I feel like The Rock is like he's kind of like I feel like he's like in everything and doing like
True.
Yeah. So I don't know if you have The Rock yet, but I'm pretty sure he'll be popular.
That's a tall order. There's a guy in Europe that sent me a picture. He looks pretty good, but I'm still looking for Rock if anybody happens to have an uncle or something that looks like him.
What do you look for when you're choosing an impersonator? I mean, obviously the look, right? But what's like the most important thing when you look for an impersonator?
I think before anything, because you can look exactly like somebody, but the sense of self that the person has, and then their ability to listen and learn, and then trusting that that person can be professional on the job. Because if I send you on a movie set, I've got to know that I can trust you to be like professional. So I think a good grounded person with with an upbeat personality, because, a lot of the work that we do is meet and greet. So you're going to be talking to people and then, engaging and taking pictures and that kind of thing. So you want to have, a fairly outgoing personality, but more than that, just being grounded and having a good sense of self, and before you jump into another character.
Yeah. So I mean, that's those are all important attributes, and if you guys are listening and you guys want to be, you guys think that you look like somebody, well, there you go, right there. If you want to contact Bella, and
Yes.
Speaking of contacting Bella, where can people get, as far as your services, or just kind of get to know, or get more info on you?
You can go to the website, tributeproductions.com, or you can find me on YouTube, which is Tribute Productions, or the LookAlikeLady. If you have specific lookalike questions, find me on any of those: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, the LookAlikeLady. And you can ask me questions online. I'll answer your questions online. Or if you're interested and you think you look like somebody, we can like up it and help you look more like that person. And definitely find me if you look like someone, because you just never know.
There it is. And, if you had one message that you could, tell the audience in 30 seconds, what would you say, Bella?
I would say live from your heart. Live from your heart, and everything else will fall in place.
There it is, Bella. Thanks for coming on this podcast. I appreciate your time, and I look forward to what else you'll be working on. And, with everything starting to get back to normal, that's all good news for everybody. So
likewise, I can't wait to see what you've got up your sleeves too. I love seeing all the stuff you're doing.
Thank you, Bella. And I'll for sure be, working with you soon on some projects. We will catch up soon.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, sweetie.
All right, no problem.
And don't forget to subscribe and check out the latest episodes on the website. Follow us on social media at Hardwood Rod. And don't forget, every Tuesday we got the latest and greatest. So stay locked in. Would you like to be on the podcast? Got something to talk about? Make sure to head over to the website at hardwoodrod.com. Leave your name and the topic you'd like to discuss, and I'll add you to the calendar.